Yes, it is 1 p.m. So we are ready to start the Healthy You, Healthy Planet fireside chat. We are really excited that you're here from all over the world, and also especially a warm welcome to our VIP members who are here with us in our Zoom room. In the next 30 to 45 minutes, we will be talking about how the Healthy You, Healthy Planet lifestyle makes us happier, healthier, and wealthier. And we have Catherine Polet here, who is an expert in the field of health and nutrition. And the interesting thing is that she doesn't only teaches this lifestyle, she also lives it. And my name is Erlijn van Genuchten, and I'm a global change maker in the field of sustainable living. And I find it fascinating to talk to her today about this topic, because health and us being healthy is not only good for us, it's also very important for our planet. So, hi, Catherine. Good to see you here. Warm welcome to you as well.
And thank you, Erlijn.
Is whether you can explain us a bit more what this Healthy You, Healthy Planet lifestyle is.
So I would say that the Healthy You, Healthy Planet lifestyle is mainly the way you live. So as Hippocrates already said, he was talking about the dieta, which comes from the Greek, which is not the diet as we know it today, but it's more the way of living or lifestyle. And it's really about going back to the basic things so that you stop overcomplicating everything.
Making things less complicated. I think that's very attractive to everyone. Can you give an example of what you mean by that?
So I would say let's start with for example, food, which is my kind of topic. Instead of buying something which is already totally prepared, so you just have to put it in the microwave. Obviously, it's something very easy, especially if you're coming home in the evening and you're tired, but you don't do good to yourself, and you don't do good for the planet, because everything which is there, you have the packaging, it's processed. And I would rather go for taking real ingredients, which means ingredients with no code bar on it, like fruits, veggies, the basic stuff. And preparing it is very cool. You can prepare a meal in 15 to 20 minutes, which is really delicious. And it will be better for your health, because you will have real ingredients, real nutrients to nourish your body, but also you will have a lesser carbon footprint for the planet.
That is, of course, a perfect combination. And I like that, because I indeed also noticed that when I make things myself, then I maybe need some time to cut it and so on. But for example, pizza, I love to eat pizza. And we eat pizza every single weekend, and only the dough is prepared and everything else is fresh. And that makes such a difference compared to when I buy a pizza that is frozen, for example, from the shop. When I understand from you, it's not only better for the planet because of the packaging and so on, but also healthier for us. And for us, it tastes better as well.
Yes, of course. And when you can choose the ingredients, obviously you can choose what you put on your pizza, but also how many, because I think that let's face it, what you buy already, the frozen pizza, they come with a minimum of ingredients, which will always be the same, with the same kind of pizza. And so it's also more creative. So you can really bring all your creativity, all your tastes. If someone don't like champignon in French now.
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms, exactly. If someone doesn't like mushrooms, you can make a big pizza and put only half with mushroom, the other half with something else. So it's really it fits to your own taste. It brings fresh ingredients, which obviously will have much more nutrients, and so it will nourish your body. And the taste is really totally different.
So when I understand correctly, this lifestyle is very flexible, so to say. We can really adapt it to our needs and what we like, our preferences. Is that correct?
Yes, and I would say that this is something which is really important. Oftentimes people think, oh, like when we talk about a diet, the last diet which is high, I don't even know which one because I'm against all these diets. But let's say you have to follow a diet or you want to follow a diet. It's so restrictive. You have to follow really everything step by step. And if you follow it, for example, if it's a diet to lose weight, which oftentimes most of the times is the case, you may be able to follow it. But the problem is that once you stop, you will go back to your habits. The healthy planet lifestyle, it's rather taking into account you as a person, and so your individuality. And I also talk about bio-individuality because we are all different. We have different backgrounds. The way we were raised as a kid, we ate in a different way depending on the country we were living in, or the generations of parents and grandparents you had, because obviously you can be from Italian origin, living in Belgium or whatever, and you will have then a mix of both cultures. So as I always say, don't ask an Italian not to eat pasta anymore or pizza, or don't drink coffee. It's impossible and it's not sustainable.
Yeah. What I like about this is that although we now are talking about food, it is also a lot more than that we take into account in this lifestyle, right? Because there is also, well, psychology or emotional health. Because, for example, when we are living in Italy and I decide not to eat pasta anymore, then maybe I would feel left out when I go for dinner with my friends, which doesn't make me feel good. Can you maybe explain a bit more about other aspects of health than physical health?
Yeah, so I think that it's also eating, for example, it's something really social. So as you well said, if you go to a restaurant or to a friend's house and you start saying, okay, I can't eat this or I don't eat that, it's a bit difficult. So I think that it's really not restricting yourself, but just focusing on the good things you can add to your lifestyle, be it what you eat, be it what you do, whatever it is, just adding good stuff in it and not focusing on what is forbidden or what you should avoid. And this also makes you feel much happier. It's more inclusive also. So I think it's really important not to focus only on what you can't. If I tell you now, don't think of the elephant in the room, you will only see an elephant. So it's a bit this, you know. So it's really seeing all the positive sides instead of focusing on the negative. And by putting more positive, automatically you will have negative.
Yeah, and when I feel positive about doing something, I always notice it makes it so much easier to start doing it, but also to keep on doing it. Because when I notice that it makes me feel good, for example, then yeah, why wouldn't I continue doing it?
Yeah, you want more of it.
Yes, exactly. And I maybe even crave for it because I know that apart from physical aspect with eating, for example, what I also feel is always very important is moving. And I know that different people want to move in different amounts, so to say. But when already after one day not moving, I feel a little bit restless in my body and I really want to do some sports, or moving, even if it's just going for a walk. And after that, I feel much better. So it makes me, happier and not only healthier to do this kind of things.
Yes, totally. And I would also say that the way you eat also has a direct impact on how you feel, not only physically, but also emotionally, and your energy levels and your mind.
How does that work?
So if you eat real food, what I need when I talk about real food, it's no code bar, like fruits, veggies, and so on. It will preferably seasonal, because one thing people always forget is the seasonality also brings you the nutrients your body needs in that moment of the season. And so when you eat really fresh food or a meal prepared with fresh ingredients, the thing is that you give your body all the nutrients it needs. Because happiness has to do also with the neurotransmitters and hormones our body makes itself, but it needs the right nutrients for this. If you eat junk food, you won't have the nutrients for dopamine, etc. And so this is really what makes you happy.
So you just said dopamine. Does that mean that when I eat the right food, that I'm able to kind of make my own natural drug in my head?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds good.
So
and that's cheaper as well, isn't it?
yes, of course. I mean, sometimes you can have also this kind of feel-good rush with sugar, but sugar should really be seen as a drug because it's also addictive. The more sugar you eat, the more you will crave it.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So if you slow down, because if you go cut it from one day to another and you eat a lot of sugar, you will feel like a drug, missing the sugar. But if you go down slowly and then you stop eating sugary things most of the time, because it's not an all or nothing approach, you will see that I mean, for example, I always was used a long time ago to put sugar in my coffee. And then one day I said, okay, let's stop it. So I stopped it. And now if I eat something really sugary, it's too much. Even if for another person who is used to eat sugary says, no, it's okay. For me, it's just like too much sugar, So your taste changes as well. And the more healthy you eat, the more healthy stuff you will crave as well.
That's interesting. And that also is interesting with respect to what we need from our planet, because when you say going back to the basics, I think you said that in the beginning, basics as in we can drink coffee and it tastes now just as well without sugar. That means that we of course need less from our planet because we won't use that sugar, so to say.
Yes.
And we can still enjoy our coffee. And it's also good for our weight to drink less sugar, probably.
Yes,
So,
not only for the weight, but also for the health, obviously. So the more healthy you eat, and I know a lot of people think, oh, healthy, it's like just showing salad and that's it. No, I mean, you can prepare delicious meals with a lot of flavors, and it's really just mouth-watering and still be healthy.
yeah.
So healthy doesn't mean annoying or just some greens and that's it. You can use spices, and spices have also phytonutrients which also can improve your health. So you can use herbs, spices, and it really tastes good.
That's perfect. And we actually have a basil plant at home. So when we eat pizza, as I shared earlier, we take a few leaves of this plant and they are perfectly fresh and homegrown, which is also environmentally friendly, of course. And I agree, it tastes even better than the dried leaves that we can buy in the shop.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know, maybe it depends from one country to another, but here in Belgium, for example, you can buy fresh herbs, but which are already cut. So you have just 20 grams in a plastic.
Oh yeah, in plastic.
And I always think, why don't you? Because at the same time they really sell the plant. So it's a little pot with the plants, but buy this one and you have more than just 20 grams. And as you said, if you do regularly something you use them for, like basil, you just cut off some leaves, and they will taste even better than those 20 grams pre-packed in plastic.
And it's a lot cheaper because our plant lasts for weeks and weeks because it continues growing and new leaves start to grow, obviously. So that reduces expenses a lot as well.
Yeah, so it's expenses, it's better for the planet because you don't have all this plastic for nothing. It tastes better and it has more nutrients because obviously when you cut it fresh, you have all the nutrients there. If you don't know for how many days it's already in the store pre-packed. So it's a win-win from all sides.
Yeah, that's of course really nice. And what I'm interested in as well is that earlier we spoke already a little bit about running and the mental advantages of doing activities. Can you maybe explain a bit more about this emotional aspect of the Healthy You, Healthy Planet lifestyle makes us healthier and happier?
Yes, so I think that it's really important how you feel. And if you have a positive mindset, which will come if you eat healthy, obviously will give your body all the nutrient it needs. You will feel better in your body. And this makes you feel better in your own skin to start with. And as you don't, it's not restrictive. So you can really implement it step by step. So it's not an all or nothing approach. It's really, what can I do today? Which is one positive step, which will have an impact on my health and automatically on the planet, because it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. I like that, these small steps. One of my coaches, because I'm working with coaches to also work on this emotional and mental aspect, because I know how important it is and how much difference it can make to have a different point of view. And that exercise was, well, to shorten it a bit, at least a question to ask myself, what are 1 to 3 things that I could do now to make me feel better, for example? And that can be easy things like just sit down in my chair and have a cup of tea, or go for a short 5-minute walk, or finish this to do because that has been on my list for ages and it starts bothering me, etc. I think that's a very great exercise, and that fits very well to what you're saying, that these small changes can already make a big difference, because after 5 minutes drinking a cup of tea, I feel a lot more refreshed and I can continue my sustainability work again.
Yeah, and this makes me think of something else. If you want a different life, or if you want to change something, think about in 1 year, in 5 years. If you don't make any change, don't expect your life to change.
Yeah, I think that's this quote by Einstein, isn't it?
Exactly.
Something like, only an idiot or so thinks that when doing the same thing, you get different results. We have to change something to get a different result. And it's true. Already changing a small thing can make a large difference. I remember, now we're talking about this, that's already a long time ago, but I was a bit hesitant to approach others at work. And I spoke to someone about it, and already learning one sentence or saying one sentence to myself before approaching someone made it so much easier. And because I started doing this, I got practice and I started doing it more often. And now I don't even think about it anymore. And only because we talk about it, I remember that that was an issue in the first place. So we forget and get used to it and integrate it. Yeah,
Yes.
that's really nice.
Yes. So humans are made out of habits, So, and especially being good habits or bad habits. I mean, it's kind of it transforms like in a routine. You don't think about it anymore. You're kind of on autopilot when you do things, and just being aware of what you are doing is the first step to be able to change.
Yeah, that's true. If I don't realize that I'm doing it and do it unconsciously, then of course I keep on doing it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that, because that's often, I think, the reason why we get into patterns. So for example, when we have a certain experience at a certain job, and then at some point we quit our job because we didn't like that experience, and we go to the next job, we get exactly this or almost the same experience, then it's very likely that we are doing something unconsciously that allows this to happen again. And unless we change that, yeah, it's very likely that when we go to the third job, it happens again.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I think that change should be more focused on something positive. So if you want to implement whatever you want to implement, start with the positive things, focus on the positive sides instead of the negative ones, because again, then you come into restriction. Don't think about the elephant, you will only see the elephant. So it's really crowding in more positive stuff in your life, in your diet, in whatever you do, and automatically the negative or the things you want to have less of will go from all alone.
That's this, I have this quote in my head as well, that where focus goes, energy flows. So when and I noticed that myself as well, when I don't want something and I keep on thinking all day, I don't want this, I don't want this, for example, being tired, then my energy drains and I get tired. So when
Yeah.
I instead think I want to have more energy, then I can focus on that and act accordingly so that I do things that give me more energy. For example,
Yes.
sitting in my chair and drinking a cup of tea.
Exactly. And I think that this is something also people totally forget, and to just take the time to rest and do nothing. And when I mean nothing, it's not even being on your phone or in front of the TV, because being on your phone or watching TV, your brain is still working. It's like your computer, it's still running. So it's really to give him a rest. It's just doing nothing, staring glazing out of the window. And that makes a big difference, especially now, because now we have so many information for everything all over the place, that we get really into this decision fatigue for whatever it is.
What is decision fatigue?
So I will give you an example. Let's say you have a decision to make. Your washing machine was broke down and you need a new one. Sounds easy. But then obviously it's not like buying some tiny things in the supermarket. It's an investment. So obviously you want to make the best choice. 50 years ago, the brands had probably 2 or 3 models to choose from. So you had to choose between the brand and the 2-3 models they have. And nowadays, I saw this some time ago, and I was really thinking, how is this possible? One brand had up to 50 different washing machines. Just one brand. So imagine you multiply this by I don't know how many brands selling washing machines, and it becomes just like overwhelming. If you want to make the right choice, and you will spend hours for this, and it's draining your energy. So and this is one example, but on smaller things we have this all over the place all day long. So we have so many information that it's even more it's even easier to just say, okay, I switch on my autopilot because I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm drained. And yeah.
And that's interesting, because now I realize, and obviously that was unconscious until just now, that this week I went to a new shop to look for some vegan sandwich spreads to try even environmentally friendly and alternatives. And I didn't realize, but now thinking about it, there was this huge rack with all kind of different spreads. And actually I've been standing there in front of it, going through all and seeing what options are there. And I've been indeed there for quite some time, and I didn't even realize. And I am like that because I don't like to have so much choices all the time.
Yeah.
So next time I tried 3 different ones, and when I like them, I'll probably next time go there and just pick exactly these 3 again, because I know they work. And that would then help probably against this decision fatigue.
Yes, yes. So you go for the known. And this is also talking about this, people often go to what they know. So the way they eat, it's how they ate at home when they were kids, or later on the habits they took on while they were at university, or the habits they took on when they started working, if they were alone, came home late, a lot of commuting, obviously. A prepped meal which you only have to put in the microwave, it's the easiest thing. But this comes also because maybe they didn't learn how to cook, and that in 15 minutes you can have a perfectly balanced meal with everything inside, which is healthy, which is delicious, and oftentimes even more than what you buy.
I have a favorite meal, and it indeed takes, I don't know, 5, maximum 10 minutes to chop. I never measure, of course. But then I put it in the oven, wait, and it takes half an hour in the oven. But in the meantime, I can do something else. So indeed, that doesn't take long, and it's very healthy, vegan in this case as well. So I completely agree with you.
Yes, and I think that also the fact that, I mean, you could think, okay, I'm coming home in the evening, I'm tired, I had a lot of meetings, I spent 1 hour in the car or commuting, and now I'm home and I really don't want to do anything. So the easiest way seems like putting something in the microwave or in the oven and just relax. On the other side, if you say, okay, it's also the mindset you have. If you say, I have to, so this is something also very important. If you say, I have to, it feels heavy. The energy is really like more negative. But if you say, what if I prepare some meal? What if? Start your thinking and how the way you talk to yourself with what if? What if I do this? What if I do that? It feels so much lighter and it's much more positive. That's the first step. And then preparing, chopping, whatever, or preparing your meal. I mean, I see this as a meditation. It's really, it allows your brain to disconnect. It's a nice way to make the transition between work and home.
Yeah, and it's doing with your hands something as well, especially when you're working at the computer all day.
Yes.
You don't have to really, it's like crafting. I mean, cooking is not something, so the really professional cooks, it's a real art what they do. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even just chopping the veggies, I mean, you smell especially fresh ones, I mean, you have the smell. I mean, I think about kids when you would chop a carrot and they come, can I have a piece? I mean, it's already like savoring what you will eat just after. And it's a totally different approach.
And you already get a treat, isn't it? Because you can't bite off a piece of pizza before it's been in the microwave, but you can already eat a little bit of carrot or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, and talking about kids, I mean, this is also a nice way for those who have kids and a family, bring them into the kitchen. I mean, there is nothing easier than to say, you have to, don't say, come and help me, you have to help me. No, let's say, what do you want to eat? Let's prepare something. And even if they are just 2 years old, if they come into the kitchen and even if they can help doing the tiniest little thing, depending on the age, obviously, first of all, they will be much more wanting to eat what they had prepared. And it's also for them a way to see how it works, learning to cook, even if it's just from watching, depending on the age. And they will also crave eating healthier.
And they will probably feel involved, because recently it was not something to eat, but with a friend, we made vegan scrub from lemons and sugar and so on. So we prepared it in the kitchen, and she has an almost 3 years old daughter, I think. And she even came over and pulled her own chair towards in the kitchen so that she could crawl on it and prepare it with us. So it was the three of us cooking or preparing this scrub, and we all really loved it, including the small girl. So yeah. That's very, very true.
Yeah, and I would say it's also quality time. So nowadays people say we don't have the time, but it's quality time with your kids. Even if it's just 5 minutes in the kitchen or 10 minutes in the kitchen, see it as quality time, because it's part of it.
Indeed. And then you don't have to pay attention to them when they're somewhere else, because they are with you, working with you, having fun together, learning something. Yeah. I like that. And what I also liked, you were already explaining so many other things in between, but you earlier said that this having to do things drains your energy. And when you say, what if, or when I say I want to do something, then I can try out these new things. And when I like them, it is also a lot easier to keep these changes in daily life, I think, because you know, of course, but I've been doing a 365 Sustainable Decisions Challenge, making my own daily life more environmentally friendly every day for a year. And to be able to not only do these once, but to keep on going, they need, of course, to be very easy changes. And I'm still doing many of these things. And it doesn't take me any effort to keep them up, because I need one to do them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is really important to make the change. So what do you want to do? If you say, what if I do this? I try it out. and if I like it, I keep going. And this is really because you can't say this works for everyone in the same way. We are all different. So what works for me maybe doesn't work for you. Be it what you eat, health-wise, or just whatever habits. So it has to be sustainable with your lifestyle.
Yeah, I really like that we can just try out things, because indeed, also with living more environmentally, from my work, for example, what doesn't work for me, for example, is to use this floss thread to clean between my teeth. When I try to use that, I just almost cut my finger off. So that's not right for me. I don't want to use that. But I like doing other things, and for others, it's exactly maybe the other way around. And it doesn't matter what we do, when we make a difference in a positive way, we already move forward to a happier, healthier, and wealthier lifestyle. And what I also like about that is that it shows that we don't have to be perfect, because we can keep on trying and we keep on learning. And when we learn and try, we make errors, or we do things that don't work so well, which automatically means we're not perfect, but that's perfectly fine.
Yes, exactly. But I would also say that, this reminds me of how do I need to eat? So there is not one the perfect way to eat, or the perfect diet in the way of how you eat, not in the sense of losing weight. And the most sustainable way you can eat is depending on your lifestyle, how you grew up, what are your habits, eating wise, culture wise, and what you would like to do. So you have vegans, for example, who really go all in because they don't want to harm the animals. You have vegetarians, which are kind of, yes, some things I can eat. You have now, they say, flexitarian, so a little bit of everything. So it's really what works for you. But if you can start already saying, if you're a meat eater, I don't eat meat every day. Cut out some meals. So you say, I eat only 1 or twice a week meat, and maybe 1 or twice a week fish. So you're bringing this already down, which will automatically have an impact on the planet. And not only how often you eat, but the amount. So this is maybe one thing which can interest everyone, is oftentimes when we eat whatever meal, we go to the restaurant, and the main ingredient on your plate is meat or fish, with sometimes just a little bit of salad on the side, when in reality, a sustainable and healthy diet would be half of your plate should be veggies. And then 25% protein, be it meat, be it fish, some animal source, whatever. But protein is also legumes like beans, chickpeas. You can also find in quinoa, for example. So it's not only animal-based food that has protein, and then 25% healthy carbs. So it doesn't have to be just white rice, potatoes, or pasta. You have much more choices. So whole grains. And if you change already the portions on your plate, this will have a huge impact as well.
That is a great tip. And I think that's a very easy thing to start with, because you can keep on eating the things you eat. And when you just change a little bit in the amounts, and that already makes a big difference, that is perfect, of course.
Yes, yes.
And one thing I'm interested to ask you as well, because we have already spoken a little bit about the wealthier part of the healthy you, healthy planet lifestyle. Is that just health is in the monetary sense, or means wealthy in this case also something else?
I would say that it is at all levels. So when you talk about wealthier, obviously people will first think money-wise. I think that if you start eating healthier, you will lower your food costs anyway. Even if people think, yeah, but organic, it costs much more. No, actually not at all. Because you have to think about one thing as well, that when you eat really real food, as I said before, you will nourish your body with nutrients. So it won't, after when you finish your meal, you won't be craving more food because you didn't have the nutrients you need. Because
so to say.
So you can eat, let's say, if you eat 2,000 calories of chips, just to say some stupid thing, of junk food, whatever junk food it is. Obviously, you will have your 2,000 calories, but your brain will still send you messages. I don't have the nutrients I need. So you will still crave food because you didn't nourish your body. If you eat real food, maybe at 1,800 calories, depending on your activity level and so on, you have enough. Why? Because your brain registers that your body has all the nutrients it needs to function properly. And so you won't get this message, I need more nutrients.
Yeah, which then also really helps when reducing or wanting to reduce weight, because then you don't have to kind of fight against this craving feeling because you don't have it, because you haven't eaten the right food. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, totally. So eating healthy doesn't cost more. Also, as I said before, if someone eats meat every day, and like at least 200 grams of meat, which is for me way too much, obviously at the end of the week it will be like 1.5 kilos almost of meat. If you eat meat twice a week and then other options over the week, and just between 100 and 150 grams of meat, you will see the difference. There is a difference in what you need, what you buy, and also in price. So eating healthier doesn't cost more. And I would say one thing, we're almost there now with the new year. One of the things people always wish at New Year is a lot of health, wishing a lot of health to others. And I think you can do whatever you want with your money, but if you don't have your health, if you're not healthy, your money won't serve you.
Yeah, and especially that's interesting, because I read that somewhere, is that a lot of people go to work to earn money, and with that money they can buy a car that they only need to go to work, and they pay with that money for a house that they are never in because they're always at work. So basically, when we spend less on all these things, we also have to spend less time at work. And that's interesting, because I actually save a few €100 every month since the beginning of that challenge, because of all these environmentally friendly decisions that I made. And I never expected that, but that's like several months of work with my previous employer. And well, that's a lot of time I can then spend on other things. And for me, and I'm happy to hear whether you agree with that, this is also an aspect of wealthier, because wealth to me is what really matters in life. And yes, of course, I need money to live and to buy my food and so on. But what really matters is wonderful relationships, making a difference to the world. And when I am able to achieve that, then I feel wealthy as well. Does that suit to this lifestyle?
Yeah, I would say to this, if you take you need money as a means to buy things you need, like fresh food and so on. But being wealthy, I would say it's more like the abundance of what you have in life. And what you have in life, I don't mean material things. So having good relationships, loving relationships, having a passion for whatever you love doing, it brings you so much joy and happiness and fulfillment, and an abundance of this, that this is for me really the real wealth.
Yeah, and I feel that this also really gives a lot of energy, because, well, but the sustainability project, I quit my job to be able to spend more energy in that. And even though I spend way more than 40 hours a week on everything that is related to this, it gives me so much energy as well that I'm able to keep this up, which would not be the case, of course, when I'm, well, for example, in a job that isn't really fulfilling and doesn't fit to what is really important in life.
Yes, exactly. I totally agree. I mean, when I'm doing something I enjoy, I don't care the hours. I don't care what time it is in the evening or if it's the weekend, because it just doesn't feel as work. So when you do something you love and you enjoy, this is real wealth. This is real abundance of joy, of happiness, of fulfillment. You feel so great. And as you said, you have all this energy. It really lightens up your day.
Yeah. And that's wonderful that you're saying that, because I also often wonder when people think, oh, it's Monday morning and they have to kind of wait 5 days until it's weekend again. To me, it's always important to have a job or do things during my day which really fulfill me that day. So of course, I'm sometimes also looking forward to the weekend. I think that's normal, but the days themselves are already so full and rich for me that I'm already happy to live these days as well. And I think, yeah, to me, that's very important.
Yeah, I think it's really important that when you wake up in the morning, you're not, your first thought shouldn't be like, oh, it's Monday, or, oh, I have to go to work, or oh, whatever comes up. I think that when you get up in the morning, you should be well rested and happy about the day that starts.
Yeah,
because it's 24 hours of opportunities, of positive opportunities which can come. Obviously, as you said, you will still have some moments where there are ups and downs. You can't really enjoy the white without the black, the day without the night. But it's really focusing on the good things.
Yeah. And we will spread that as well, because when we feel good, then the people around us will feel that positive energy, and they will probably feel that as well, because positive energy is contagious. I've been given as feedback often, at least.
Yes.
So yeah, we all benefit from it, and the planet as well, because when we feel good, for example, the chance that we overeat or get into a depression and we need medication or so are a lot smaller. And then we don't need these resources, extra food or medicines, which then come in plastic and packaging and so on.
Exactly.
So that is amazing. I would be able to continue talking to you for hours and hours more, but we are getting really close already to the 45 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah, so maybe it should be the start. Maybe we can do more in the future, diving deeper into one specific part of the healthy planet lifestyle.
I'm really looking forward to that. I'm in.
Great, me too.
Afterwards. And thank you so much for taking the time, having this wonderful chat. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that everyone who has been watching has learned a lot as well. And just for thanking you all for being here today. And I just want to let you know that we now continue with the Q&A sessions for our VIP members, and that you can still join until 3 p.m. Central European time. If you can't make it today, then that's no problem, because you will be able to access the recording also to the Q&A, and you will be able to access all the other extras and bonuses that come with this VIP program, which includes a coaching with Catherine and an ebook in which we describe this Healthy You, Healthy Planet lifestyle in even more detail, so that really helps you to get started and implement these small changes into your daily life as well. So if you want, then take the opportunity until 3 o'clock, because after that, this offer will be gone. And in a few minutes, when we have a short break, you can refresh the page where you're on now, and then the information where you can read more and sign up will appear. And we are going to have a short break now, having something to drink, stay hydrated, stay healthy. And we're really looking forward to answer your questions in the Q&A after this short break. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and happy to be here and see the VIP members in 5 minutes.
Perfect.